New details emerged tonight about a deadly shooting on a movie set involving Alec Baldwin. We're also hearing from the actor.
Plus, they say they're protecting the protectors, spouses, and loved ones of police, firefighters, and San Diego City lifeguards speak out against vaccine mandates.
And pediatricians sound the alarm about children's mental health during the pandemic.
And a prayer vigil is getting underway tonight for Maya Miliete.
Loved ones and the community are coming together tonight to remember a South Bay wife and mother and praying she will finally be brought home. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Kirsten Holmes.
And I'm Shannon Handy. Tonight's vigil for Maya Miliete comes one day after her husband was arraigned on a murder charge. News 8's LaMonica Peters is live in Chula Vista tonight where people have gathered. LaMonica?
Maya's family, friends, and supporters say their mission won't be complete until she's brought home and properly laid to rest. In just a few minutes, they're going to hold a prayer vigil, just one of many that they've had over the last 9 months. Her family believes it's important to keep her name in the public eye and hopes that someone with information will come forward. Investigators believe that she was also being abused in the marriage, and Larry Miliete was upset about his wife filing divorce back in January when she disappeared. Just yesterday, Larry Miliete entered a plea of not guilty to charges of first-degree murder and weapons possession. But today, the focus is on Maya and bring her back to her loved ones.
I know that a lot of the neighbors now feel safer now that the arrest has been made, and we're hoping that more will come forward with information that will lead us to her whereabouts.
The Chula Vista Police Department says the investigation into this case will continue, and volunteers are planning another search for Maya on Saturday.
Thanks, Monica. We're learning more about a double homicide inside an East Village high-rise. A man and a woman were found shot to death in an apartment on the 35th floor of the Spire San Diego building yesterday. The accused shooter is in custody. Police are identifying him as the roommate of the female victim. He is 29-year-old Ali Abu Laban. His young daughter was with him when he was arrested. She's in protective custody. He's expected to be arraigned on murder charges on Tuesday.
In New Mexico tonight, police are investigating a shooting on a movie set involving actor Alec Baldwin. According to court records, Baldwin was handed a loaded weapon by an assistant director on the set.
But according to the search warrant, the assistant director did not know the prop gun was loaded with a live round. The cinematographer was killed and the director wounded. Anthony Pura has the latest tonight.
We have some people that were shot accidentally.
The unidentified 911 caller asked for help, saying 2 people had been accidentally shot on the set of the Western film Rust near Santa Fe, New Mexico. Alec Baldwin, the film's co-producer and star, fired a prop gun on set, resulting in the death of the movie's cinematographer, 42-year-old Helena Hutchins. Director Joel Souza was injured. According to Variety magazine, the Los Angeles prop union IATSE 44 sent an email to members saying the gun contained a live single round and the prop crew working in New Mexico was not part of their union. Movie set weapons experts say even blanks used in prop guns can be deadly.
A blank is a round but without a projectile, so there's still a lot of force in there, there's still a lot of pressure, and can be dangerous if not used safely.
There are also specific protocols to make sure no one is injured on set.
Nowadays, all weapons are checked, barrels are checked before any blanks are put into the weapon. There are lots of other protocols in place, including active training beforehand. There'll be rehearsals.
Hutchins Union, the International Cinematographers Guild, called her death a terrible loss and said it supports a full investigation.
I think word incredible is not to even begin to describe her personality. Really generous, really talented, really upbeat.
Baldwin is cooperating with authorities and says he has reached out to Hutchins' husband. He said he is heartbroken about the incident, issuing a statement on Twitter Friday morning saying there are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Helena Hutchins, a wife, mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. Production on the film has been halted as the investigation intensifies. Anthony Pura, CBS News.
Well, we're pretty dry for right now, but we are going to be looking at some rain in our forecast as we go into the beginning of next week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis taking a look. We're talking about an atmospheric river, so a lot of that moisture is going to be impacting right along the northern portions of our state, and some of that moisture making its way closer towards us by Monday. You're going to hear us talking about atmospheric rivers, and this afternoon I sat down with Julie Kalansky with the Center of Western Weather and Water Extremes at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography to discuss the significance of atmospheric rivers and what this means for our state's drought.
So the significance of atmospheric rivers in general for California is they bring on average about 50% of our rainfall and snowpack. And so they're really important in determining whether or not it's going to be a wet or dry year. And as I mentioned before, it's really the big storms, which almost always are atmospheric rivers in California. And so they're a really important part of our water cycle.
How much of an impact will this have on our drought conditions?
Given the low reservoir levels and dry soil mixtures, this will definitely help moisten the soils for next events, and the runoff, can be collected in those reservoirs and helped. There's no concerns about, reservoirs being too full. So in summary, I would say it will definitely help with the drought.
And we can take any help we can get from Mother Nature. So we will be talking about that storm system moving through on Monday and your complete forecast coming up. Shannon, Kirsten.
Family members of first responders in San Diego are speaking out against the city's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for all city workers.
Yeah, nearly 200 people have gathered outside of San Diego City Hall. News 8's Heather Hope joins us now live with more on what these family members are saying. Heather?
Yes, Kirsten, Shannon, that crowd just disbanding right now, many going home. But earlier we saw that crowd on this level and at the top level speaking out against the city's vaccine mandate, all in support of their loved ones who they say work for the city. Many of those in the crowd we talked to said they are not anti-vax, they're just anti-mandate.
And honestly, I don't like the fact it's being shoved down our throat.
Upset about the city of San Diego's mandate for all city employees to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
It's just not right what they're doing, forcing these guys that have given their life to force between getting a vaccine that they don't feel comfortable with and choosing a career.
Children held up signs saying, "Please don't fire my daddy. My daddy is a hero," and a shirt that said, "No jab for my dad." Young violinists played Amazing Grace. Today's rally was called Protecting the Protectors, being held outside San Diego City Hall in the Civic Center Plaza, with spouses of San Diego Police Department officers, firefighters, and lifeguards speaking out against the city's vaccine mandate. There were nearly 200 pairs of firefighter and police officers' booths laid out to represent the first responders' loss if the city fires them.
I'm not here to torch Mayor Gloria or the city of San Diego. I think they're doing the best they can within their own construct, but I would appeal them to step back for a second and think about the good of the public rather than the good of the politics.
Some parents and spouses of city workers say their loved one has already had COVID because they were exposed to it on the job, and they want the city to take into account their natural immunity instead of making them get the vaccine.
It's an awful idea that 12 years with the fire department, 13 years, and he loves his job. He loves helping people. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't come to pass. I don't know how far he's willing to go with it. I don't think he knows, to tell you the truth.
In response from the city of San Diego, we're hearing from Mayor Todd Gloria in a statement in part which reads, "We continue to meet and confer with our recognized employee organizations on how to manage our unvaccinated employees. The city has a responsibility to protect our employees and the members of the public with whom they regularly interact. The health and welfare of the public and our employees outweigh any temporary staffing issues." And back out here live, the city pushed back its vaccine mandate from November 1st, and it now will be on December 1st for all those within the city of San Diego to get the vaccine. I'll send it back to you, Shannon.
Thanks, Heather. Pediatricians across the country are sounding the alarm about children's mental health. Here in San Diego, Rady Children's Hospital is reporting a double-digit increase in ER visits during the pandemic, with kids suffering from depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. The problem has become so bad The American Academies of Pediatrics, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, as well as the Children's Hospital Association, declared it a national emergency.
Even before the pandemic, children's mental health has been increasing at a very fast rate. Adding in the layer of the pandemic for the last 2 years, we've seen a dramatic increase.
Dr. Willow Jenkins is a child and adolescent psychiatrist. She's also the inpatient medical director of psychiatry at Rady Children's Hospital, where the number of kids visiting the emergency room for mental health has risen 25%.
When I started this work, we'd rarely see a child under 12 who would be talking about suicide, and now it's commonplace. So we frequently have children as young as 8 in our emergency room talking about suicide.
Nationally, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says compared to 2019, in 2020, ER visits for mental health rose by 24% for children between the ages of 5 and 11 and 31% for those 12 to 17. Teenage girls are especially at risk, with suspected suicide up 51% for those between 12 to 17.
Among children under the age of 18, mental health needs are now in California the leading cause of hospitalization.
Tristan Stein is a project manager with the Little Hoover Commission. The bipartisan state oversight group released a study about COVID's impact on kids' mental health, saying while the state is investing more than $4 billion to address the problem, there needs to be better leadership and partnerships among schools, providers, and health plans to ensure kids' needs are actually being met.
California's system of children's mental health is extremely fragmented, it's extremely decentralized, it's extremely complicated.
Still, there is hope.
Most childhood mental illness is treatable, and we have safe, established, effective treatments.
At Rady's, for example, there's a pediatric psychiatry emergency room, and every child who comes into the hospital, no matter the reason, is provided with a depression screening. Dr. Jenkins says parents can also contact their child's pediatrician, school counselor, or dial 211 for county-provided services. First and foremost, so she advises, talk to your kids.
Don't be afraid to ask your child directly about suicide. Asking about suicide doesn't cause suicide. If anything, it saves lives.
And Dr. Jenkins says things like irritability, withdrawing from activities, and a change in friends could all be signs your child is depressed. The Little Hoover Commission is holding a webinar on this issue next month. We have that information as well as information for those resources I mentioned at CBS8.com. Just click on the help button. So, Kirsten, you and I were talking during the break.
Yeah.
Really, really big problem. I don't think a lot of us realize how bad it is.
Yeah, I heard that statistic. Again, I want to repeat it for you guys. Among children under 18, mental health in California is now the leading cause of hospitalization.
Exactly. And when he said that during the interview, I actually had to stop him and say, what did you just say? And that's just the sad truth. And by the way, those depression screenings at Children's Hospital, they do that automatically for any child. Last year in 2020 at Rady's, just in the ER, 3,000 children tested positive during that depression screening, which means those screenings showed that 3,000 children in the ER were experiencing some sort of depression. So we really need to pay attention to this.
Yeah, we got to do something for our babies. Thank you for bringing that, Shannon.
Sure.